Okay, welcome back, guys. So on this video, um, we're gonna dedicate it to doing the valve clearance checkup. Uh, since it's a car with so many miles, I want to make sure that my client's car is gonna be running right. And if we have a problem with the valve clearance, I want to be able to let her know that, hey, you got an issue with this valve or a certain amount of valves, whatever. This car is old, and parts wear out with time, with use, and all that. And this car having more than 300,000 miles, and we don't know exactly how many miles now. We need to know exactly um, what the problem is, if there is any. So, um, for the valve clearance, we're pretty much going to grab a feeler gauge and stick it between the camshaft lobes and the bucket. That's going to be, the bucket is what gets pushed down by the camshaft lobe and opens and closes the valves. So we need to find out the clearance between the lobe and the bucket. Let's just say, for example, the lobe happens to be, the clearance happens to be too small, then it would indicate that we have a bad valve seat or a worn out valve face. Now, if the gap is too big or it got too large over time, then it means that the lobe from the camshaft is worn out. So we're going to find out the clearances. Now, I did copy down on my phone the clearances that we should be getting once we do this measurement. And right here on my phone, we got the intake and the exhaust measurement. I don't know if you have this car, you want to copy this down, but this is the measurement that you should have on the intake valves and exhaust valves. So for the intake is 0.15 millimeter to 0.25 millimeters, and for the exhaust 0.25 to 0.35 millimeters. So the way this works is basically we're going to grab a feeler gauge, and I'm going to start off with the smallest size that is considered as a good clearance, and start with that. If for whatever reason, if when I stick that one in, if it's tight and I can't push it in, then it means that the valve seat is worn out or the valve face is worn out and that clearance is too tight. The other one is if when I put in the largest one and the gap is still too big, that means that the clearance is a lot larger due to the camshaft being worn out. So let me show you what a feeler gauge is. So this is a feeler gauge. It's got, as you can see, each one has a different size, different measurement. Hopefully you guys can see that with the light. So for intake valves, we're going to be using these right here. All these 5 measurements that we have. Now for the exhaust valves, we're going to be using these other 4. So let me fix that. So we're going to be using from from 0.25 millimeters to 0.35 millimeters. We want to find out exactly the measurement. Now, if for whatever reason, when I do the intake, and this one, the smallest size that should be used for this measurement, if the smallest size cannot go under, then we got a problem. And if this size can go easily in and still, we got gaps in between, then we got a problem. Say for example, I can fit in 0.28 millimeters inside the intake valve clearance. we got a problem. I shouldn't be able to fit that one in. So let's start off with doing the intake valves, which are the ones closer to the front over here, and we can get that. Yeah, we can get that started right now. So I'm gonna put these together over here, and I'm gonna shove these guys over here, and I'm just gonna separate the smallest one here. Now the way to do this, and I forgot to get the wrench, I'm gonna get that right now. The way to do this is to grab a big wrench that's gonna fit on this part of the camshaft. You can use this camshaft or the other one. It doesn't really matter which one you put the wrench on to turn it. But what I want to say is that you want to have your camshaft lobes. In other words, the pointy part of the camshaft, you want that facing up when you do the measurement, because you don't want that pushing down on the bucket and opening the valves when you're trying to do the measurement here. So let me go get that wrench, which I forgot to get. So let me do that now. Okay, you're going to be using a 24 millimeter wrench. 24. And just like that, you know. And then you can use that to move the camshaft. It's going to rotate the entire engine because it's still got the timing chains attached. But the cool thing is you don't have to go down on the side with the ratchet and the big socket and turning the crankshaft. You don't need to do that. You can turn it right here, and you got full, clearance to go ahead and do that. So let's start off with, you know what? Let's do cylinder 4 right here at the intake. Let me move this out of the way. Let's do cylinder 4. And the way you're gonna do this, hold on, I'm mixing them up again. Okay, so the way you're gonna do this is basically bring this in from behind, because you can't really do it from the front here. You gotta come in from back side. So let me see it here. So it's got a good gap. I'm able to sneak it in. Let's do the other one. Same thing. It's all good. So the only thing is, you're gonna have to wipe down every single time, but that's not a big problem. Shouldn't be a big problem to anybody. So just wipe it clean every single time you use it. So that worked out. So let's go up a size. Let's go up and do 0.18 millimeter. Hold on. Okay, so it feels kind of tight pushing this one in. That's good. Bring in the other one here. Yep. Feels kind of tight. So again, that is a good feeling. That is a good feeling. Now, let's see. I'm going to grab the largest one that should only be used on the intake valves, which is the 0.25 millimeters. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, 0.25 millimeters. Most likely it's not going to go in, like in this case, it's not going in. That's because the gap hasn't gotten that big, and it means we're good on this. We're pretty good on cylinder 4 on the intake valves. So I'm going to go ahead over here on my phone and put, and I'm going to put here that the measurement that actually felt kind of tight was 0.18 millimeter, and second Now the reason why I use first, second, it means that I'm going to show you right now. What I'm trying to put there is that first valve, second valve. So since each cylinder has 2 valves, then, I mean, 4 valves, but 2 per camshaft, then it'll be valve 1, valve 2 for cylinder 4. That's how I'm putting it. You can put it however you want. That way I know, I measured which one and, got X reading. So let's see which one on the exhaust valve is good. Let's do cylinder 2 on the exhaust valve for the sake of the video. And that one uses 0.25 millimeter, that's the smallest, and 0.35 millimeter, that's the largest. So let's start off with the smallest, 0.25. When I come in this way, oh, yep, felt a little tight. I was able to sneak it in on the first valve here. Now let's do the second valve. Yeah, that second valve is not going, so it is safe to say that we might have a problem occurring right here at the second valve on cylinder 2. Yes, sir. So, that's how you measure, that's how you know you probably have a worn out engine. It's got miles in this engine. So, it's normal for the parts to wear out. So, I need to put down that 0.25 millimeters was feeling tight on valve 1. But before we do that, let's go down the size, and let's find out if 0.23 millimeters is going to fit in on the 2 valves here. So going down one size, yep, not much effort on the first valve. Second valve, it went through with a little bit of effort. So that means that the 2 valves here, the 2 valves here have the seats getting worn out or the face of the valve getting worn out. So that's not good. So let me go ahead and put that on my phone here. So cylinder 2. So we got measurements of 0.23 millimeter going in. Second, 0.23 millimeter. Okay, so right off the bat, cylinder 2 is no good. It's not good. So anyways, I'm not going to bother you showing you every single one of them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep on measuring all of them right now, and I'll get back to you once I'm done with the results, so that way we are all on the same page and you guys can see if this engine still has a lot of life, or we have to get down and dirty and do some valve seat jobs and stuff like that. I hope not, because I don't think the lady wants to go that deep into repairs. But I am willing to give her the details just in case, things were to get bad in the future. So, for example, here, you guys probably want to see how to rotate this engine with just using a wrench at the camshaft. So I really want to move over to do 2 more cylinders. So basically just rotate it here, Make sure you can take the wrench out once you do that. So we did cylinder 4 intake, cylinder 2 exhaust. Let's see which other ones we can do now. Okay. So I got now cylinder 2 intake available to do, and cylinder 1 exhaust available to do. So I'm going to keep on rotating like that till I'm done, and once I'm done, I'll get back to you. Okay, so just got that done, as you can see. So what are the results? All of the all of the 8 valves on the intake are good. All of them are good. I would say the one with the largest gap is the second valve on cylinder 3. So that'll be this one right here. But it's still in specs because the gap that I got measurement for was 0.23 millimeters, and the max that's considered good is a 0.25 millimeters. So we're good on that. The tightest valves on the intake were the first one on cylinder 1, the one over here, and the 2 on cylinder 4. So those were the tightest ones, and still in spec at 0.18 millimeters. Now the exhaust side of things are a little different. So cylinder 1 and cylinder 2 are not good. Cylinders 3 and 4, they're perfect. So before we get into cylinders 1 and 2, cylinder 3 was giving me on both sides a measurement of 0.28 millimeters, so that's good. And on cylinder 4, the first one, or the one on the left, was giving 0.30 millimeters, and the one on the second one was giving me 0.28 millimeters. So those two are perfect. Now, cylinders 1 and cylinder 2 on the exhaust, they're not good. So the worst one out of the two is cylinder 1. I don't know why. Why would that be the case? But cylinder 1 has a 0.18 millimeter reading or measurement on the first valve, and the second valve is 0.20. So that leads me to believe that the valve seat or the valve face on cylinder 1, they're both very worn out, and on cylinder 2 it's just starting on wearing out to the same level as cylinder 1. So yeah, that's how you know if you have issues with your valve clearance. The best time to do that is when you take that valve cover off, because you're doing the valve cover gasket. Hey, if you want to do that for your customer, go right on ahead. I mean, this could give them a guidance of how bad is the engine, because I know this engine, like I've mentioned already, this engine's old. It's got high mileage. So if your car has high mileage and you got a car like this that uses buckets for your valves, then go right on ahead, check out those valve clearances and make sure they're in spec. If they're not in spec, take a note which one is getting worn out, which one is giving you the bad readings, so that way if you ever have a problem in the future, then you might want to check that one cylinder where you already got a bad measurement at. This is a good way to get some good guidance on probable future repairs that you need to do on your car. So now I'm just going to give these measurements to the customer and let them know, hey, you might want to in the future, because this is probably not a problem right now. I haven't heard the engine make any knocking sounds or whatnot. So that's something that we need to take a note of for this car, and that way she knows if she ever hears a weird noise coming out of the engine at the top end right here, then it's most likely that right there. So okay guys, so that'll be the end of this video. The next video that you're gonna see is me putting everything back with the valve cover and all that. I just wanted to give you this detail so that way you guys, whenever you open up your top end of the engine and you're doing a valve cover gasket or whatever it is you're doing, check your valve clearances. It doesn't take too long. It actually just took me about, since I started recording this video, I would say about 30 minutes. Taking my time, you know. I'm not rushing through this or anything like that, and you shouldn't rush through this anyways. So 30 minutes of your time when you're doing your valve cover gasket, do it, man. Just get one of these guys, one of these feeler gauges. You can get this at AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Napa, pretty much any auto parts store you can get this at. So do it. Don't be lazy. If you are opening your valve cover, get it done. That way you are, you know, for sure ready in case something else were to happen. So that's it, guys. The next one is putting everything back together. Just so you know, the lady did agree on getting those new spark plugs, so that will be a separate video by itself. So, alright guys, you guys take care, stay safe, and stay dirty. Bye bye.